And welcome back to Coast to Coast. Matthew Pauly graduated in the mid-1980s with a degree in sociology and computer studies. He held positions from programmer to chief scientist, consults for Fortune 500 companies. Matthew's decade of non-consensual involvement in MK-ULTRA mind control tests began back in November of 2005 in Toronto in the back of a 5-ton armored military van as a test subject. Well, here he is to talk about that. His book is called The Murder of Time. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, George. I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
I'm disturbed that this program apparently continued because we've always been told that MK-ULTRA ended in 1973, yet they grabbed you in 2005. What happened?
Well, exactly. From my bit of experience, I would say that the statement that it stopped in front of the U.S. Senate committee, the Church Committee hearings, the CIA gave testimony saying it had stopped. That was apparently not true. In fact, my bit of research has shown that former deputy director Victor Marchetti claims publicly that this is a cover story. And you can read all about that at wanttoknow.info, which is a really good site with declassified CIA documents. We also know, there's been reports of other people who have come forward, such as Kathy O'Brien, Kathleen Sullivan. There's been a handful of published books, like I have just done, detailing their experience after the date the CIA said they'd stopped MK-ULTRA.
Matthew, let's go back a little bit for people who aren't familiar with MK-ULTRA and tell us about these experiments on humans and what they wanted to accomplish.
Sure. It actually started back with the ancient Egyptians. They were using torture, trauma-based mind control to make slaves. What the CIA's MK-ULTRA program is about is basically picking up from the work of Dr. Joseph, I can hardly get this last name, Mengele. Dr. Joseph Mengele was a very sick,
a Nazi.
Nazi, yes, a sadist who was in the World War II concentration camps doing experiments on typically twin Jewish children. And he was really pioneering this torture to cause the subject to dissociate, which means that the dominant personality, if you get tortured enough, anybody tortured enough will eventually dissociate, and which means that it's a self-protection mechanism of the human mind.
Yes.
And when the dominant personality goes to sleep, what's left over is a very malleable like a childlike presence that's easily hypnotized. And you have very little resistance to hypnotism once you've been dissociated. And so once you're able to be hypnotized, then you can be forced to repeat post-hypnotic suggestions, which are suggestions in the first person. When I hear two toots of an air horn, I will go and wring this person's neck, for example. And what happens is you repeat that about a dozen times in the first person, and at the very end they make you repeat a suggestion which says, I will not remember this suggestion until the trigger is present. And then you say it again, I will not remember this suggestion until the trigger is present. And you say that over and over again, and then what happens is when you come out of that dissociation period and your dominant personality comes back, you have no memory in your conscious mind of the entire dissociative event. You have what's called missing time. And that's why I call my book The Murder of Time, Making and Unmasking a Sleeper.
Were they making Manchurian candidates, Matthew?
Absolutely. 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 There's been so many instances in history and that we've seen where people are shown to be by the press and by the courts to be guilty of a crime that really doesn't make much sense. Why would they do this? And yet they are there, and then they apparently did it. That's the way it's sold in the press. Because if you're going to do an assassination, it's not a good thing if it comes off as it looks like that it was, say, a systemic assassination. In other words, part of the government did it. You have to have it look like some person who is usually tarted up with some ideology.
That's right.
Going right back to JFK. And so, I mean, there's so many of these assassinations where the person is tarted up as either a Marxist or lately, of course, Islamicist with the San Bernardino thing. But these people are really patsies, and there's actual professionals that are doing these killings.
And that's what Oswald called himself after he was arrested. He was being let in and said, "I'm a patsy." And a lot of people looked at that and went, wow. Well, MK-ULTRA apparently was researched at 80 institutions, 44 colleges and universities, hospitals, prisons, pharmaceutical companies. That's pretty widespread.
Exactly. I mean, it's really daunting, the scope of this project. And in fact, here in Canada in the 1950s and 1960s at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal and also the Royal Victoria Hospital in Montreal, there were thousands of Canadians who were experimented upon using mind control techniques by Dr. Ewan Cameron, who was funded by the CIA. And still to this day, psychiatrists are not taught about that involvement, and they don't even know that this happened in Canada. So it's actually, the scope of it is huge, as you point out. And in fact, I was just doing a little bit of poking around on my own web, or actually it's my Facebook site, and I found that I had earlier posted this, and people want to see this, they can look at the Liberty, it's called the libertybeacon.com. If you put in that website, human experimentation, you'll find dozens and dozens and dozens of studies that have been published, footnoted with real good sources of human experimentation that's gone on. And some of that, of course, is MK-ULTRA.
These are some of the... Go ahead.
The MK is thought to be a short form of mental control, which is a Latin Germanic phrase.
And these are some of the methods they use to manipulate people's mental states and brain functions. Drugs, chemicals, hypnosis, sleep deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, torture. Unbelievable.
Yes, that's the thing, is that it's so far out there that most people can't believe that they would actually do these things. And that's why I encourage people to do actual research and or, look at my book and read my book, because this is actually, not only is it historically gone on, and it's all out there in the public domain. You can read about these studies, these things that happened in North America, but it's still happening today.
We're going to continue the story about Project MK-ULTRA with his book, The Murder of Time. Matthew Pauly with us, and we'll be back with him and your calls on Coast to Coast AM. Welcome back. We're talking about Project MK-ULTRA, where many of us thought it ended in 1973, but according to Matthew Pauly, it did not. Matthew, does it continue? That's the question.
It certainly does. I can definitely testify to that. I have made it my mission to tell this story because I believe in democracy, and I believe in human experimentation is ethically wrong, and I believe that false flag terror events are ethically wrong. So anyway, as we before the break were just saying other events that occurred. In 2007, I just sent my book unencrypted across the internet to my editor, and I was picked up off the street, and I was pulled into a smaller van this time. It was about a 2-ton van. It was like a Ford Econoline, but it had a taller roof, more like an ambulance.
And when this happens, do you say, oh, boy, here we go again?
Well, actually, this was what's called a snatch and grab, and you literally don't have even time to think. I mean, literally, as I was walking, I guess I was walking east on the north side of King. I saw the white van ahead. I thought to myself, don't be paranoid, Matthew, it's just a van. And there's a guy walking towards me at equal distance, and he starts cutting towards me, towards the curb. And so I had to go, closer to the van. And by the time he did this like 2 or 3 times, by the time I'm at the van, I'm within 2 feet. And then I heard my name being called, Matthew, and I turned. And then time just slowed down because I recognized the profile. It was Mitch, is the guy's name by alias, the American JTF officer, and that's one of his employers. And then the next thing you know, I heard a click, and before I could even turn, that was the van opening, sliding door. I was pulled in like a headlock, and at the same time, a rag that was an inhalant soaked rag was put over my nose and mouth, and I was dragged back into this fan. I was unconscious in a matter of like 2 seconds.
So at this point, Matthew, tell us, because I'm confused of what they were doing with you after all these years, 2005, 6, 7. What did they want with you?
That's a question I've asked myself that many times, and sometimes I even think it's a cat and mouse thing, like a cat playing with a mouse. But I'm trying to be rational here. I think what it is I'm an R&D subject, and because I am not being quiet, I'm being noisy. They keep it up. They keep interfering with my life.
They're trying to get you to stop doing whatever you're doing.
Well, because
this show's got to be driving them nuts.
The thing is that we're on this planet for a short time. And, I was raised to believe that, it's important to have a meaning in life. And I read Viktor Frankl's book in university, Man's Search for Meaning. And, he survived the concentration camps of World War II and noted that the people who survived, put real meaning into surviving. The people who didn't have a lot of meaning in life didn't make it. But that's not to blame them. There's a lot of people who had meaning who didn't make it either. But anyway, so I'm trying to do what's the right thing to do. And that's costing me a lot in terms of my health. And
Matthew, how do we know that you're not a programmed sleeper? Someone who, at some kind of code or cue, will do something.
Right. Well, okay, because I can demystify it and explain it to you. These events, that one was a forced electroshock event to make me shut up about writing my book. And they even told me just before they did it, you've been a bad boy, Matthew. You've been talking. We warned you weren't supposed to talk. And then zap.
Wait till they hear you on this show tonight.
Yeah, that was in 2007. And then 2010, there was I decided to post on an online site called rabble.ca the 3 post-hypnotic suggestions, because I thought, well, if I get this out, it'll be good. But that turned into a real problem. Anyway, they didn't abduct me, but they scared the living daylights out of me, which was the whole point. I was pursued by people with guns and stuff. It was very bad. It's in the book. And by the way, the 2007 event is Chapter 1 of the book is free. If people go to the link on your website for the show tonight, and you can click on the book link, and there you will be able to find Chapter 1 of the book is free. People can read about that. In 2014, I had just recovered my life, my career, and everything, and I'd gone through 500 hours of therapy, both from a public psychiatrist who's a specialist in treating psychological trauma and PTSD, and then 250 hours with a private therapist, which I paid a lot of money for. My life, my career was back, and I was consulting to a big bank, and I was a team leader and an architect, and I was, I felt really good about things. And then I decided that I wanted to know how much they were watching me, and like how serious I was under being monitored, and I laid what's called a false trail. I went on my web browser, and I just surfed to the local Russian consulate website and to the hours of operation.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Well, that met with a very swift response.
I bet it did.
I have graduated since then to be a tester of chemical and biological weapons, which has been part of MK-ULTRA all along. It's not just mind control. The name MK-ULTRA, what's called Monarch, is definitely torture, trauma, mind control, but there's also all this biological and chemical weapon testing. So in 2014, on June 21st, I was fogged a block from my house, walking my dog at 7 in the morning with what's called Scopolamine, which is the #1 mind control drug. And NASA in 2013 had just developed an aerosol of this drug, which you have to ask, what does that got to do with space research? And the answer is, of course, nothing. Because if you sprayed an aerosol in zero gravity of a mind control drug,
it goes everywhere.
You'd wipe out your whole crew,
yes,
right?
That's right.
So the outset of the show, I meant to mention that in 1945, the CIA Project Paperclip brought in approximately 5,000 or 6,000 Nazi scientists, mind control, and also rocket scientists,
including Wernher von Braun.
Correct. And the mind control ones went to the CIA, the military, academia, etc., research hospitals. And so my theory,
people think, Matthew, we just got the space scientists and the rocket scientists. We got them all.
That's right. We got them all. So I can only imagine that NASA is just trying to help out with one group of Nazis helping out another group of Nazis, because, I mean, basically the people in the CIA and the military who are doing mind control stuff need this scopolamine aerosol. It's very useful. I have been hit with it, I don't know how many, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, about 4 or 5 times now I've been aerosoled with it. Once in 2014, we did a scopolamine fog test, which I nearly died. I mean, I was unconscious in 7 seconds. My dog tried to revive me by licking my lips and nose because I'd stopped breathing on the grass. And he was injured, severely injured. And the x-ray actually is in the book. And he later died of his injuries. He got cancer exactly at that point in his ankle where he was slammed hard enough to fracture his bone a little bit. Anyway, then I got home invaded in January of 2015. I got home invaded in May of 2015. I got home invaded in October, November of 2015. And each one of these home invasions have involved torture. Oh, first of all, I get a spray can version of scopolamine, which subdues me completely, and it wipes out all your free will. In fact, just so people know, because people don't know this, that Dr. Camille Uribe, who is the head of the toxicology unit at San Jose University Hospital, said, I can give you a gun and tell you to go kill someone, and you will do it. So that's what scopolamine is. It wipes your free will completely. Now, you combine that with...
Now, how do we know, Matthew, they haven't used you already for something?
They have.
What was that? What did you do? You there? Boy, he's gone. They got him. Oh. We'll try to get him. He's gone. That has got to be as weird as it comes. We're talking about Project MK-ULTRA with somebody named Matthew Pauly. He's written a book called The Murder of Time, and I was just ready to go to some calls. I just may do that. And he is just gone off the face of the world. Well, Tommy, you've got his cell phone, too, so you try out either one. And you just let me know, flag it whenever you get him. If you get him, I hope he's okay. Phone is dead. Well, all right, call his backup cell, and let's see what's going on with him. Something's up. Well, I'll tell you what's so weird about this. Not only is his landline gone, but he's not answering his cell phone, which is going straight to voicemail. It's like he fell off the face of the earth. We're going to come back. I may end up doing mini open lines with those of you on hold and those of you who will call. If we don't get him back during the break here, Joe and Dolores, I'll release you so I can free up my lines for the rest of the calls. Weird, folks, weird. We still cannot find guest Matthew Pauly. Gone. We've even tried his Skype line. Gone. And we'll keep working at it, indeed. Okay, welcome back to our final segment with your calls and what should have been a final interview with Matthew Pauly, author of The Murder of Time. Now, Tom is waving at me frantically, and are you saying that we have him back on the line now? All right, let's go there. Matthew, are you there?
I am, yes.
Where'd you go?
Well, my internet connection dropped. So I think that didn't, well, I don't
Were you on an internet-based phone or a landline?
Correct. I was on a VoIP phone, which suddenly just completely failed.
Now, the question is, why did it fail?
Well, I suspect it was because I said something that...
You were right in the middle of saying something very controversial, and they got you.
Yeah.
That's happened to us before. I thought something else happened. I thought some sniper took you out or something like that.
No. So I'm not quite sure where you.
Well, I think we were talking about have they ever done anything to you to stop you, to get you to stop talking, and that's when you stop talking.